There's a lot of back and forth with Iran right now, and it seems like things have calmed a little bit. Pompeo is out there saying that Jared Kushner's not going to get us Middle East peace.
What?
And yeah, I know. Disappointing. Everybody should not
really banking on that.
I should not have bet my kids' college education fund on that trade sports line. I knew that the odds were just so good, though. I couldn't help myself. But here is an interview with the Iranian Foreign Minister Zarif, Mohammad Zarif, and basically what's been going on here. And there was a report the other day that former Obama officials were basically trying to send message to Iran, don't take the Trump bait. There's two different dynamics that are happening. Obviously, Iran has domestic politics as well as the United States. The United States, it appears that there was basically on a level just below Donald Trump. Donald Trump had sort of just accidentally appointed a bunch of people who wanted to have a war with Iran. And when he found out that, oh, wait a second, all these guys are trying to have a war with Iran, I don't want a war. I really honestly think there was like a moment in a meeting with with Pentagon officials where they said, well, President Trump, the likelihood of a conflict with Iran is increasing. And so if that is your agenda, what? No, I don't want to do that. I just want to be tough. And, well, they said, well, there's probably a danger here, and maybe you should signal to them that you don't want to actually have a war. Okay, I don't want a war. I just want to be tough. And meanwhile, Iran is like looking to exact. They need to also show that they're tough in light of all of the sort of aggressive steps that the Americans are taking. And this is the fear that everyone has on both sides, that those who need to posture will accidentally stumble into a war. And so Iran is still on this mission. And they came out and said basically, with an assist from North Korea, that John Bolton is dim and a problem. But it's not going to end there.
President Trump says he wants to talk. He has invited Iranian officials to give him a call. How likely is that?
It's not very likely, because talking is the continuation of the process of pressure. He is imposing pressure. This may work in a real estate market. It does not work in dealing with Iran.
If you did come back to the negotiating table, would you trust the United States? Would you trust President Trump?
The last experience was not very optimistic and does not provide an optimistic perspective for a future agreement. So this is what I believe is happening to the international community. That is, people think twice before they talk to the United States because they know that what they agree today may not hold tomorrow.
Now, this is not just, I think, telling in terms of someone who we perceive as an adversary. I think this is probably true of all the international leaders. I mean, it would be absurd of them to think otherwise. And it's, I've said this many times before, but even if you were to get our next president was to be this sort of very gracious and institutionalist and less belligerent individual who had no drama and whatnot and came to office, as a foreign leader, you still have to say, like, there's something wrong with this country. I mean, electing Donald Trump after Barack Obama and then electing blankety blank after Donald Trump, let's hope. All that says to me as a world leader, like, this country is unreliable. There's something wrong with the people there.
And what it says in an Iranian context very explicitly is, I always say this, but it's important in history that when the supreme leaders signed off on doing this process, and that's a bad translation. It's like he is the ultimate authority, but people like the president and the foreign minister have actual power And that was part of the, there was momentum to do this, and he signed off on it. And he basically said, you can do it, and it will never work because the United States can fundamentally never be trusted. And so he's just cashing that every day.
I know this is conspiratorial, but doesn't it seem like they're working together? Like, not working together, but like their purposes are aligned.
There is a huge convergence of interest always between the right in Iran and Israel and the United States.
Well, this is true.
There's and everywhere.
Of all, yeah.
But particularly, particularly in how, their enmity affects their domestic politics and their foreign policy. And
you could have said the same thing with like Castro and Bush. Mm-hmm. Like, I mean, and other U.S. leaders, but like the way Castro was, going to maintain power, it's like there's an outside threat. I mean, they all love that. It all, this is the last refuge.
Although sometimes, and this is when it's like, look, like Castro, they did want a deal and they made it with Obama. And that's another thing Trump ruins that we pay less attention to. But that's another huge setback of Trump. And the right in Iran, as demonstrated by the supreme leader, or I should say, what's ironic is Iran actually has a center right, which is really kind of what Rouhani's a moderate. And there's a center right that was willing to pragmatically go for this. Ahmadinejad wanted a deal.
Sure. No.
And so,
but these aren't mutually
not at all. No,
ideas.
they can go both ways.
The worst case scenario
That's right.
for someone like that is to have an administration that doesn't necessarily want a deal, but is not going to preen about it.
Absolutely.
Then you have nothing politically to sell domestically. It's just you're ineffective. You're ineffective at getting a deal when you want one. If the other party is, doing something that's belligerent, then you can come back and just stir nationalism. I mean, that is the. All right.